Hey, all my good friends out there. I'm Sam Haymart and you're watching Test Driven TV. Today we are test driving the 2024 Mercedes-Benz E350 4MATIC Sedan. It's been redesigned for this year and this one's got a lot of goodies to talk about. So we're going to have a good look at it inside and out. We're going to take it for a drive and then I'm going to tell you what I really think. All right, everybody, let's have a look at the car that Mercedes-Benz has given us to drive this week. This is a 2024 Mercedes-Benz E350 4MATIC, which means it has all-wheel drive. This comes in a base model E350 with just rear-wheel drive, and it comes with a more powerful E450 that's above this one. This is right in the middle of the lineup for the E-Class sedan. This one is $83,000 as tested. And so it has a lot of options on it. Base price is around $62,000. This one's got $21,000 worth of options, and you'll see the pricing on those as we go through this and talk about a lot of the features the car has. They get a lot for their options at Mercedes-Benz. So the car is redesigned for 2024. It looks evolutionary unless you're really sharp on the Mercedes-Benz brand and all of their cars. From across the parking lot, the average customer probably wouldn't pick out the big differences, but it's larger. It's got a 1-inch longer wheelbase now, fractionally bigger in every dimension, and it has the classic rear-wheel drive stance. Long nose, the cab is set back towards the rear axle, so it has that powerful sort of athletic look. Styling, while all new, is evolutionary. It's got the Mercedes-Benz grille, which you can recognize anywhere, but it's noodled a little bit, and it flows into a nice set of very technical LED headlamps. Wheels on this one are an optional wheel, 21 inches. They're an AMG wheel, I think quite handsome. And as you come down the side, you can just see the stance that this has and how large and imposing this car looks. It's as large as some of the S-Class cars, maybe larger, of the past. It's grown. It's a big car. Up on the roof, this has a panoramic roof that you can see. Up in the windshield, a lot of cameras going on there. One of them is a dash cam, so to speak. The other cameras are there for all of the driving aids. Another feature this has that's worth pointing out is the flush door handles. These are something that we first saw on the EQ series electrics and a lot of other modern cars out there that are in the luxury segment, but they go in flush when you're driving or when you lock the car, and so they make it a little bit more secure, but they also make it more aerodynamic. A 0.23 coefficient of drag, which is one of the most aerodynamic numbers you're going to see out there for a lot of cars, but they do pop out when you walk up with the key in the pocket or if you touch them and they open up. So just kind of a cool little feature there. At the rear three-quarter view, you can see really how this rear-wheel drive design and stance really befits the car. It has a nice planted look. It sits down low at the back, and it's just athletic in a way that front-wheel drive base cars are not. It just is. And for this year, it's got a new taillight design at the back, evolutionary again, like we've talked about, a nice chrome strip all the way across the back, and LED taillights, of course, very ornate. Down in the lower bumper, a little bit more of a sporting design, but not quite as over the top as you might expect to find on an AMG model. I do have to pick on the fake exhaust tips, though. They're fake. If you look down in there, there's nothing. There's no exhaust pipes. They're ornaments, and I have an aesthetic problem with that, folks. I point it out every time I have a Mercedes-Benz because this brand, to me, this is a detail that's beneath the brand. This is something a high schooler might stick on their first car to make it look cooler, not something someone who can afford a luxury car like this is going to be wanting to stick on their car. It irks me. But they are good looking, they're just not real. But outside of that, when we step back and sort of take the 30,000-foot view, this is a classic looking evolution of the Mercedes E-Class. Well done, I think. The interior of the E350 is a place that I think that I've really gotten the most enjoyment out of this car. It's because it's very well done and it's very well optioned. This has the Napa leather in it. This has the Hyperscreen option, and this is the first time the Hyperscreen has been available in a non-EQ car. And what is Hyperscreen? Have a look. It's essentially one big sheet of gloss black material with multiple screens behind it. There's a 12.3-inch screen for the driver, a large center screen for the infotainment system, and then in front of the passenger is a 12.3-inch screen that can be almost anything that you find on the center screen. The passenger can play games, they can get into YouTube, they can control the navigation, they can connect their own phone up to the system. There are infinite ways for your passenger to enjoy that screen over there, and it's got a nice feature that when I'm parked, I can see that screen over there and whatever my passenger is doing here, but when I'm driving and the car is moving, there's a special feature that blacks it out from my point of view. Only the passenger can see it, so it doesn't become a distraction. It's a very nice feature. It gives the passenger almost anything that's available to me right here as the driver. And I'll get more into the infotainment system here when we talk about that separately. But looking at the interior, completely redesigned for 2024. The dash has a more artful experience than the old dual screen slab that used to be on all Mercedes-Benzes. It has a instrument cluster that sort of pops up on its own, very similar to sort of the 50s, 60s Mercedes-Benz designs. Leather steering wheel, modern controls, of course. It is electronic and fully customizable with different themes, different looks, and different information sets that you can do there. The quality materials in here is really some of the best that you can get at any price. It is upgraded with the leather package. I have the Napa leather seats that I'm sitting on. These are heated and ventilated here, and they have the full massage functions that go along with everything that you can possibly get here in the Pinnacle trim. Optional on the center console is a multi-material cloth, it's sort of called, and it's similar to a carbon fiber, but it's actually a steel fabric that's in there, and I can tell because I run my finger along the edge, you can sort of feel it. It's not entirely smooth. So the upshot is it's not pattern printed plastic, it's the real thing that you're looking at. And in that way, I've just sort of showed that you can open this cover, and down below are cup holders. There is a wireless charger for your phone in there. Storage here, pretty good. It's large enough for maybe a rectangular tissue box, and there's a little dongle here for a USB, a standard USB port. It's an adapter. I don't know why they wouldn't just put a regular USB port instead of just giving you this strange little adapter, but the rest of the USB ports in here are actually the compact style, not the old style. So maybe it's just sort of a fix for the fact that here in America we still want the old things. A very comfortable seat that I'm sitting in, of course. The heating and ventilation works absolutely fabulous. What doesn't necessarily work absolutely fabulous here is the AC and climate system. And I don't know if it's a function of these very thin sort of form over function design vents, which look very nice. They're hidden. But I have to turn this up on the highest fan settings in our heat here in Arizona to be able to feel like I'm getting air on me. And when the auto start stop and the engine kicks in, it goes warm. And so you have to turn that off. It's just not the best heating and air conditioning system is what I'm getting at. And so I did find that a bit of a surprise. Usually German cars, they're on it when it comes to blowing ice cold. Now above me, though it does look like a single panoramic roof on the outside, it is actually a dual moon roof. A big panel for the front that opens, as well as a fixed panel for the rear seat. A lot of light that really opens this interior up, and it's a nice dark sort of polarized glass that prevents that heat from really getting in when you have that open. Nicely done. Another feature in this car is the ambient lighting package that's in here, and I've got this set sort of in a pink and orange and yellow hue, so it really pops off this interior and you can see it, but you can get into the settings here on the screen and dial it up to literally any color combination that you can think of, and you can set them to be active lighting that change and they cycle depending on the music and or you're driving, what's going on with the braking acceleration. So you can really do a lot with this system, and it's everywhere. It's on the console, the whole perimeter, and even in the back seat. This is an interior that I'm very impressed with. It's well done in terms of design. It's beautiful to look at. All of the interfacing that we look at and use works very well. The stock here for the gear selector, not my favorite. It kind of feels like a toy, and I did already talk about the fact that the heating and air conditioning system here is a little weaker than I like, but this interior, still one of the best in the business. It gets 4.5 out of 5 stars. The infotainment system here is a version of the same ones that we've looked at in some of the other high-end Mercedes-Benzes of late, particularly in the EQ series where other hyperscreen installations have been seen. And the graphics are very good. It's got a three-dimensional map, and you can really dial up the settings on that to just about any style that you like. Navigating around to get to changing stations using the different features, the settings is very easy to do. It's graphically inclined, meaning it's intuitive, and there's an infinite level of feature content here. This has the Burmester audio system, and it's even got the 4D sound, which means that that sound transmits through the seats. I suspect there's transducers in the seats. When you really crank it up, you can feel it. And that's kind of a cool feature. You can turn it off if you don't like it, because it can be off-putting if you're not used to it. But the sound system is great. It's fully featured with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, wireless, and with the 5G connection here, it's got a number of features built into the system that allow you to watch entertainment, YouTube even, just like over on the passenger screen. And so I can sit here and watch my own videos if I wanted to. Another cool feature is up here on the dash, there is a camera, a selfie camera, one of 5 cameras that are in this interior for various purposes. But this one right here allows you that when you're stationary and you're not driving, you can take videos, you can take still photos of you sitting here and your passengers. You can also use it for video conferencing, and there are a number of apps that you can tie that to, such as Zoom. So you could actually have a Zoom meeting here in your car with the use of that camera. Slick. This also has a 360-degree camera system, which works very well. It takes full advantage of the entire screen, and also voice controls. And I could go on for another hour doing a whole video just on this system. I'm really just sort of touching the high points. It works exceptionally well, and I've been impressed with this system and some of the other Mercedes-Benzes that I've used. This has more features than some of those, so I like it. It gets 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, my friends, let's take this car for a drive and talk about what motivates it, what makes it drive and handle the way it does, and what I think of all of that. So the chassis is evolutionary. The powertrain is evolutionary. There's nothing all new, 100% new here, but there is a lot to discuss. Under the hood is a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, and it has 255 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. This is also a mild hybrid with a 48-volt mild hybrid system for extra boost, and that can come at any time, but mostly if you're really asking for power. And if you watch my videos, you know the question I always like to ask is, how does it go? So I'm going to put the hammer down. And you can hear it, and 60. Now, this has a 9-speed automatic transmission that's been with Mercedes-Benz for some time. It works well, but as you can tell back there, it's a little bit leisurely off the line in the way the computer controls it. Drive-by-wire throttle, drive-by-wire everything, so it's going to give you good fuel economy, and it's going to be good for emissions no matter what. And that gets me to one of the gripes I do have with this powertrain this week, is the fact that it's got an auto start-stop system. You can turn it off, and nice enough they put the button right next to this, but it's a very aggressive one. So if you don't turn it off, even in the 100+ degree weather that I've had here in Phoenix this week, I have found that the system shuts the engine off and turns off my air conditioner with it, even in the hot weather. Ouch. And so you have to make sure you turn that thing off if you don't want your AC blowing gym sock warm at you. Another thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way at this price tag is the fact that, you know, I grew up on Mercedes-Benz and luxury cars with a smooth inline 6 or a V6 that just had a silky smoothness luxury to it. This is a 4-cylinder engine, and while the power level is fine, not complaining about power level, torque power, it's adequate for the mid-size, mid-range car, just something about the feel and the lack of refinement that the 4-cylinder offers up compared to what the old inline 6 is used to, I just find that missing here. So powertrain gets 4 out of 5 stars. As to ride, drive, and handling, this has all the hallmarks that you would expect here in a Mercedes-Benz. It has a multi-link front suspension, a multi-link independent rear suspension. This one also has optioned the Airmatic suspension, And it also has the rear wheel steering. So even for its size, this has a remarkably tight turning circle. Those rear wheels can turn up to 4.5 degrees in the opposite direction as the front wheels at slow speeds. And at highway speeds, they can actually turn a little bit parallel and help for things like stability and lane changing. So they're very helpful, and I like them. They work. It takes a while to get used to the fact that you can turn this thing around on a neighborhood street without doing a 2 or 3 point turn. So it's kind of a bonus. The aromatic suspension I find works very well on almost all the Mercedes-Benzes that I test. The tuning is nice. It gives you that nice classic Mercedes-Benz sort of floating ride, but it can stiffen up and firm up in milliseconds if it needs to. So when you're going over speed humps, speed bumps, driveway entrances, it can be compliant when you need it, but if you start mashing the pedal, if you start really dialing in control inputs to give this car some speed or some deft maneuvers, that suspension can tighten up and give you the response that you want. So that's a bonus. It's very quiet in here. Decibels on our 70-mile-an-hour highway test, 53.5, one of the quieter cars that I've tested in a while. And so it just works very well. The steering feel, all of the things that go along with the driving experience here, definitely befitting of the price. And it's just comfortable to cruise around in because it does have that classic Mercedes ride when you want it. If you're a Mercedes person, you're going to feel quite at home in here. And granted, yes, dialing up the drive modes does stiffen it up and give you a bit more of a sporting feel if you want it. So the chassis I'm very impressed with. It gets 5 out of 5 stars. All right, my friends, we have looked at the car inside out. We've taken it for a drive and we've had a conversation about a lot of the high points that I think are definitely worth pointing out here. It's a nice car, and as somebody who has always sort of liked Mercedes-Benzes, I have a little bit of a soft spot in my heart for them, as well as other nice cars. There's a lot to like here if you like Mercedes-Benz, if you're already familiar with the brand. If you are new to the brand, well, you have to go drive one and spend some time with one to really figure out why they cost so much, because there is a lot here that you get for the money. Now, is it worth the money? Well, at this price, we're $83,000 and some change. That's a pretty good amount of money, but you can easily spend that on any of the competitors. And the thing about the German brands is they always like to really get you with the options. $62K is the base price for this particular model. You can spend $21,000 worth of options quite easily, as we've done here. And most of the stuff that's here is stuff you'd want. The 4-wheel steering is great. All of the interior, the nice leather, the tech that's in there is really nice. And the air suspension, the list goes on. A lot of the things this car has are things that you almost just want to have. So the price is what it is. Now, if you're buying a car like this, you're probably not comparing it on a spreadsheet like a consumer report style purchase against very many other things, making sure you're getting all the features for your dollar. No, that's not how it works here. If you like a Mercedes-Benz, you buy it, and that's just the honest choice. But there are other cars out there in this category that offer things that this does not. One of them being a longer warranty. This has a 4-year, 50,000-mile warranty. Not the shortest in the business, but not the longest. Hyundai, even on the lower end of the price scale, and its luxury brand Genesis, which does compete against this, offer a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty and better coverage overall. But if you're buying Mercedes-Benz and you're going to own it for a while, my suggestion is you buy the extended warranty. Otherwise, you lease this, because there's the old saying, nothing more expensive than an old Mercedes-Benz. And it's true if you've ever had one. When they're out of warranty and they start having issues, you don't want to be around for that party, okay? I mean, I love the cars, but I'm just being honest with you folks. So just how I look into how I categorize value and is it worth the money? Is it worth the money? Yeah. If you're buying a luxury car and you're going to spend this much money, sure, this is a great choice. It's got a lot for the money, a lot going on, great design, ride, drive, character, all that. But I have to put a score on it, so I'm going to put that at 4.5 stars. When you put that in with everything we've already talked about here in this review, we're at 4.6 out of 5 stars. Very good. It's a nice choice in the category. Sedans aren't quite as popular as they used to be. SUVs have all the oxygen in the room right now these days. But if you're looking for a sedan, this is a nice classic option. So there you go. So if you like what we do, see our latest video right there. If you really like what we do, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can do that right there. Other way, stay tuned.